guys, it's Caleb back again with more Red Knot, and this time we have A Rose from the Dead by Kate Collins. It is a flower shop mystery. The author also wrote a story called, in the same series I assume, Acts of Violets. The cover's okay. It's sort of like half a cover and then half is like just a nice kind of saturated green. Well, not saturated, but desaturated green for the title, and the little logo for the series itself, and everything else. And the image is just kind of tucked over here in like the left-hand corner, and towards the bottom. I like that there are like tombstones behind her. I mean, basically it's all a very simplified, and colored, image for, it's very stylized, if you like this kind of thing. I like that, you won't notice it at first, but there's a casket down here at the bottom, and there's roses, like, all around it. The only thing I really don't care for, technically there's two, but one is just the placement of the girl character, who I assume is supposed to be our main character. It kind of looks like, I think they try to position her to where it looks like she's standing on this hill with the roses in front of the casket, but it just kind of looks weird, like she's almost standing on the casket, kind of. I mean, you could interpret it that she's either standing on the casket, or they just, that's just part of the standard logo that she's there on the left-hand side of the book. But it does look weird, prospectively. The other thing I don't like is when you look at the background and you see the tombstones, it's like the artist didn't actually know what graves or the bottom of the tombstones look like, so they just made like these green mounds, like these little green bumps with flowers and shit on the bottom of the graves. And unless your grave is really shittily dug, it sinks. The filler, there's like no bump after so long. And if grass has grown over where the grave has been dug, by that time it's sunk back to a normal level, or even past that level, as the dirt and everything under it settles again. That's why sometimes the graveyard might do it, but or at least around here, the family goes to wherever the sunken grave is, and they'll fill it in with dirt if it's sunk too far down when it resettles. Something that happens over time, that happens over years. I mean, it really just depends on the grave and where the grave was originally, moisture and soil and all that stuff. So, to the back. Abby is truly a hilarious heroine. Rendezvous. Splendid and sunny afternoon with this bright and witty series, Nancy Martin. I don't think that's the quote you want to put on the back of a book that shows a graveyard and casket and a woman dressed in black on the front. Delightfully addictive and charming addition to the cozy subgenre. Again, I don't think that's the quote you want to put on the book with the cover like this. Nancy J. Cohen, author of the Bad Hair Day mysteries. Why do all these dollar store books have to have a theme to them? Why can't they just be a murder mystery book? Like Hannah and Kiki were part of a Rose Club. That was the theme for them, was gardening. Mom has another one where the theme is Wiccan. She's a Wiccan, which is cool, whatever. Another one which really makes sense because of Mom was about coffee. That was its theme. Why did I, Abby Knight, because that's not a shitty name, agree to attend the convention of funeral directors? Well, if you don't own a funeral home and you're not a practitioner of doing the things a funeral home would do, why are you there? I was desperate to drum up more business for my flower shop bloomers. Your flower shop bloomers, eh? Maybe that's why you don't get much business. Change the name and advertise in the paper more. What I got instead was murder. Well, I can figure that, being specifically a murder mystery book. Who knew death could be so much fun? Well, I don't know. He likes a little liquor every now and then, and, and sometimes he just wants to go to the beach. I mean, death is dreary business. I mean, you have to go get people who are sick, and some who die in car accidents, and, sometimes they don't really understand, so they scream off the top of their heads and run from you, and, there was that one time that the Easter Bunny traded with him so he could, have a bit of free time, for like a week, hang out on the beach, but doesn't always work out. People totally misunderstand him constantly. Abby is amused by the black humor of the usually somber death professionals who are attending the Midwestern Funeral Directors Association's regional convention. Well, there is humor in death. And then you're like, well, I shouldn't be laughing, but I am. And honestly, the reason why there's humor in death is, I think, personally, so that it helps ease the sadness, I think. Just to be able to find something stupid happened, and then you laugh at it, and like, well, that really wasn't an appropriate time for it, but I think about it now, it's just funny. Stuff happens, and, if you ask them, the funeral directors, the people at funeral homes will probably tell you some of the most crazy shit they've had to put up with in regards to a funeral. I can't remember if this was something I read in a book, or if this was something the guys that were doing Mom's funeral were telling us. I can't remember. I don't remember if this is a story they told us, or if this is a story somebody else told me, or something. But anyway, a lady died, and her church was making arrangements for her. Now keep in mind that the people we went through for Mom's funeral were very, very nice, very religious people. The guy who owns the place, Mr. Dodson, is, he's a preacher. And, they were telling us, that, this lady died and some people from her church came in to make the arrangements. And they were weird arrangements, but, they made them. And the arrangements were basically not to do anything with the body, just put it in a casket. And then put it in, the room for, people to come and see. And so they did that. They didn't, embalm or anything her body. They just did what they were supposed to. And then the day of her funeral, they come in. And apparently they're trying to resurrect her. And that's a thing they're doing. And I think they spent a couple of hours doing this before they finally gave up and left. And everybody was just like, huh. I'm like, I believe in God and stuff, but God's pretty final, and once you're dead, and you got better places to be. But, so, yeah, I can imagine the stories a funeral director would tell people, if they asked. Even organizer Sybil Blunt, known for her cutthroat business practices and the signature rose she wears in her wig, isn't what Abby expects, especially when her corpse is found in a casket. When Abby's friend Delia Dubb becomes a suspect, Abby shifts into full investigation mode and learns that Sybil's enemies included the prankster sons of a big-time funeral director, an eco-friendly purveyor of green burials, and a strange goth girl who captures the music of a departing soul on her tape recorder. It's up to Abby and her boyfriend, Marco, because of course she has to have a boyfriend that helps her, to look beyond the trappings of death and find out who really loved Sybil and who loved her not. You are so clever because we're talking about flowers and we're gonna go to the little poem and, so clever. Chapter 1. Okay, guys, great joke. Phone booth in a coffin. Haha, now let me out. The door is stuck. I waited a moment, then pressed my ear against the smooth pine finish, listening for snickers coming from the other side, but all I heard was silence. I pushed against the wood, but it didn't budge. Ross? Jess? Are you leaning against the door? Come on, it isn't funny anymore. I'm claustrophobic. When the booth still didn't open, I pounded on it. Let me out of here! More silence. I pictured them pinching their lips shut so they wouldn't cough. And the reason you trusted a pair of 23-year-old males in the first place was... I ignored that smug low voice of rationality. Right now, my only concern was breathing, because the air in the 2 feet of space I occupied had suddenly become unbearably stuffy. Sweat beads gathered at my temples, plastering my hair to my skin. Why isn't this phone booth air-conditioned? Was a little vent in the ceiling too much to ask for? I gave the door one last smack with the heel of my hand, then rested my forehead against it. You guys are in major trouble now because I'm phoning the police. The silence roared in my ears, or was that my shallow breathing? I ignored the ebony receiver behind me, a replica of the old coin-operated booth of my mother's generation. I didn't have any money with me anyway. Luckily, I never went anywhere without my cell phone. I pulled out the sleek stainless steel case, flipped it open, and hummed 911. Right. Okay, I'm sure they're going to believe this. Hello, yes, I'd like to report being locked in a coffin. Wait, no, hang up, this isn't a joke. My name is Abby Knight. I own Bloomer's Flower Shop, and I'm at a mortician's convention in, yes, my father is Sergeant Jeffrey Knight, formerly of the New Chapel PD. Anyway, could you send someone to... Yes, he is doing well considering his injury. Sure, I'd be happy to pass along your best wishes. If you'd send someone over here to get me out of here! At once the door to my jail opened, flooding the space with bright light. I blinked several times, holding up a hand to shade my eyes until the blurry male shape before me came into focus. To my relief, it wasn't either of the two pranksters who had imprisoned me. It was Morocco Salvere, the hunk of the Midwest, because I'm sure he is. The man who could make me breathe shallowly, and like it, just by sauntering into my room. Never mind, I said to the dispatcher. I slipped my mobile phone back into my pocket. Because they're not going to send the police... Okay, look, regardless of how stupid it is, they're still going to send cops to the location you specified. And I'm sure even the dispatchers and cops will have the most weird-ass stories to tell you. But they are required by law, regardless of how stupid they think it is, to actually send police and emergency responders to the location you specify. And then it's when they find out the report is false that they will then basically put the bill on you for filing a false report. Marco, thank God you came. I was starting to hyperventilate. What were you doing in there? He asked as I emerged, fanning my face. What indeed? There I was, a bright young florist of some note. Okay, maybe half a note. I had owned Bloomers for a mere 6 months, and maybe only bright because of my red hair. But there I was, nevertheless, in the middle of a mortician's convention trying to drum up business, only to find myself wedged in a phone booth, as if I were some ditzy female who couldn't find her way out of a, phone booth. That it resembled an antique coffin straight out of a vampire movie only made my humiliation worse. What person of even average intelligence would be gullible enough to walk into an upended coffin? You would be surprised, and you sound like an asshole, so I'd punch you in the face for that comment. Talk about the height of embarrassment. Oh, you're a valley girl, are you now? On the plus side, Marco had proven once again to be my go-to guy, because you are a damsel in distress, and only a damsel in distress, apparently. He was not only an ex-cop and new bar owner, but also a former Army Ranger, a tough, savvy, modern-day warrior whose group motto said it all: Rangers lead the way. It's gonna be one of those books, isn't it? I already want to just drop this book and leave. And if anyone who found a way into my heart, it was Marco. If anyone had found a way into my heart, it was Marco. He was all man, hard jaw, firm mouth, straight back, and taunt-bellied. With nut-brown eyes and that knew how to cut through pretense, and a strong, masculine nose that was slightly askew. His wavy dark mop drooped casually onto the left side of his forehead and ruffled into the nape of his neck. So what I'm imagining now is emo hair that he's just swept back into the collar of his shirt. Like from his forehead, he's just like placed it like that. But never reached farther than his collar. He was sexy, I'm sure he is. Serene, I'm sure he is. And thoughtful. Probably not. The kind of guy girls like me dream of shagging, of snagging. Yet he remains something of a mystery. Because he's a mystery. Oh, I'll never know my man. There'll always be this deepness to him that's so enigmatic that I'll never be able to figure it out. Dude, he's a guy. You're a girl who happens to be straight, and he happens to be straight. There's no mystery to this at all. At this moment, however, there was nothing mystifying about what he was thinking. His most captivating feature, aside from his penetrating gaze, and that hint of 5 o'clock shadow, because he would have to have one, was his expressive mouth, straight, firm lips. You already described his mouth, why do we have to describe it again? Straight, firm lips that curved up at the corners when he was amused, and slanted down when he was bemused. Judging by what I saw now, he was perplexed. How did you get locked in? 'Cause I'm stupid, apparently. That's what I'd like to know. Just wait till I get my hands on those two idiots. Huffing angrily, I started to charge past him, but he caught my arm. What two idiots? Ross and Jess Urban. Or Urban? Urban. Okay. Or, as I now prefer to think of them, Thing 1 and Thing 2. We met them earlier this morning while we were setting up our display, remember? Dark blonde hair with light blonde tips, large teeth, big dimples on their chins, very tan. One of them looks like a model for GQ. He had what in the hell? Ferragamo loafers, and a Tag Heuer watch. I assume these are real brands, but they sound stupid. And the other one looked like a homeless skateboarder. They managed to chain of funeral parlors for their I misunderstood that, so I was trying to read it the way I thought it was supposed to be. The sentence was going to go. They manage a chain of funeral parlors for their father. You still haven't told me how you got locked in. After you left earlier, they came to our exhibit and said I had a phone call and brought me here. So I stepped inside, and the door, lid, whatever, latched behind me. Marco examined the latch and questioned, Abby, this slide bolt isn't automatic. They locked you in. No shit, Sherlock. We discovered this. I had a feeling they might be trouble, but I ignored it because they're funeral directors. What if I had passed out from a lack of oxygen, or even worse, died in this coffin? I don't even want to think about the irony. Take a look back here, Marco called. This isn't even a working phone. I went around to check the back of the tall booth. There on the ground lay a disconnected phone cord, and not a phone jack in sight. Obviously, the coffin phone booth was just for display, but how was I to know? I'd never been to a funeral directors' convention before. Displaying my floral wares at the Miss Western Funeral Directors Association's regional convention was actually the brainchild of my friends Max and Delia Dove, owners of the Happy Dreams Funeral Home, located around the corner from Bloomers and just off the town square in New Chapel, Indiana. Max and Delilah has suggested I rent a booth alongside the other businesses that supplied products and services to morticians as a way to generate more income from my shop. A small business struggling to hold its own against the giant chain corporation. What giant chain corporations? Does the author not know that funeral homes will partner with certain flower shops to make arrangements specifically for that funeral home and the funeral home's customers should it be requested of them? Does she not know that people generally go to local flower shops, or at least around here, and order arrangements for their loved ones' basically last gathering of friends and family? Do they not know this? Has she never been to a funeral? Has she never ordered flowers or actually spoken to funeral directors? The convention was being held at the Woodland Hotel and Conference Center on Lake Michigan, about 25 miles from north of New Chapel. Since the $1,500 rental fee was a little too steep for my budget, Max and Delilah had generously offered to split the cost and share booth space. Even at the bargain rate of $7.50, I still hesitated to commit the money until I learned that I get to attend the Saturday night banquet with a guest of my choice. The banquet, Delilah had promised, was an event not to be missed, with food provided by an excellent caterer and entertainment afterward. I don't care how good the food is or the entertainment is somewhere. If I'm paying $7.50, I better be going on fucking vacation somewhere. Maybe spending a weekend in Gatlinburg or something, if I'm going to be dishing out the dough. I signed up immediately. I was all about free food, but that's not free food if you're paying $750 for it. But I was not about to look like an ignoramus. Okay, lady, look. We're going to take a moment, author, Miss Kate Collins, and we're going to talk about something. The same thing we talked about during 50 Shades of Grey. Please stop, because it is very much unnecessary using $5 words constantly. It doesn't make you look smart. It makes you look like you're trying too hard. It is okay just to say, I wasn't about to look ignorant. That's a word. And it's a perfectly acceptable word. How old are these characters supposed to be if he used to be a cop? I would assume he's at least 30-something, maybe 40s. And apparently, I guess it's a mystery a month, since she's only owned this flower shop for 6 months. And this is the 6th book in the series. So I guess the first book she got the flower shop. That's a lot of mysteries to suddenly have in a year. Boy, are those two urban jokers in trouble. How dare they lock me in a phone booth and put my life in jeopardy? And for what? A laugh? Well, I'm willing to have the last laugh because... Marco, are you listening? He was staring up the long, brightly lit corridor toward the exhibition hall at the end, his jaw hard and his eyes narrowed to slits of steel-edged fury. Uh-oh. I knew that look. My twin tormentors were toast. Chapter 2. Marco, wait, I said, and dashed after him, catching up just as he stepped into the big warehouse room, where hundreds of people were browsing the wide carpeted aisles of display booths. Ross and Jess did this to me. If anyone's going to teach them a lesson, it should be me. Even so, I'm like, well, okay, but you should have somebody to keep an eye on one while you punch the other one. Just to make sure. Both corners of Marco's mouth curved down, a clear sign that he strongly disagreed. But since that had never deterred me before, I paid no attention. I pulled the convention brochure from my purse and turned to the index. Where would two young guys hang out? The Extreme Marketing Seminar? That snapped him out of his funk. Whoa, hold it. Before you put on your brass knuckles, sunshine, you better think this through. Oh, because you're the big bad man. Oh, She can't go and take care of this herself. She has to have you. Go fuck yourself! You're right, they probably had the computer software booth. You're right, they're probably at the computer software booth. That's not what I mean. You're here on business. You don't want to cause a scene that might jeopardize your chances of picking up new clients for bloomers. Also, change the name of your shop, because all I can think of is underwear. And if I'm thinking of your shop as underwear, I'm not ever going to go to your shop to get flowers or tell people to go there to get flowers, because we're going to be snickering at your name. Also, if these guys are assholes, the rest of the convention will probably thank you before they have to escort the four of you out. I blinked as his words sank in. Yet it was okay. It was entirely okay a moment ago for this asshole to go punch these fucking idiots. But suddenly now she has to think of her business before she takes action. Pick a side, Book! Pick a fucking side! I blinked as his words sank in. Rats. He was right again. He wasn't right to start with. He was gonna punch the fuck out of them. So fuck him and saying you have to think of your business. He's a fuck. How professional would I look if I walked around punching out morticians, even young ones who thought they were crafty stud muffins? I don't know about the stud muffin part, but they probably do think they're rather crafty. And again, I think the rest of the convention would probably be very happy that you punch these fuckers. And your boyfriend out, for that matter. In fact, he would not be my boyfriend anymore. Fine, I'll let them go for now, but if they pull anything else, they're going to find out Abby Knight is a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure. I may be small, but I'm mighty. Which is why you got locked in a phone booth that looks like a coffin, and then called 911. And then got laughed at because the dispatcher thought you were stupid. And a prank call. I flexed a bicep, which I might add was looking pretty hot. I hate this character. I hate this book. That's not a good thing when I'm on page 7. And we haven't even done anything to really describe anything. We should still be in chapter 1. Chalk that up to toting heavy bags of potting soil from the depths of Bloomer's basement to the first floor workroom. Ignoring my demonstration, Marco made a visual sweep of my 5'2" body, as if to remind me that I wouldn't be much of a threat to two full-grown, testosterone-charged young males. Fuck you! Fuck you, author! Fuck you! A woman capably trained will have no problem defending herself, just as a man would have no problem defending himself if he's properly trained. Stop putting in this bullshit. Stop putting in sexist bullshit, and I will take you more seriously. Don't worry about the Urbans, I'll take care of them. Even though you just said that we should be more concerned about our business than about what those fucktards just did. Even though you were originally going to go charge head first into fighting these idiots and punching them. You can shut right the fuck up. It was my turn to grab his arm. Not so fast, Rambo. Legally, you're here as my guest. What you do affects my liability, so touche. You can't do anything either. Touche? Okay. Who actually talks like these people? I just want to say, who talks like these people? I don't. Pushcho doesn't. Hawk doesn't. Dave doesn't. My brother doesn't. My mom never did. Even when we were younger, we never talked like this. Even when we're making stupid-ass jokes, we don't talk like this. Agent, is that a new term for pack mule? Oh, I think I skipped a line. Not so fast, Rambo. Legally, you're here as my agent. What you do affects my liability, so touche. You can't do anything either. Agent. Is that the new term for pack mule? Pack mule, huh? All you did is carry in 3 floral arrangements and help Max and Delilah put together the portable walls of our booth. Stop complaining. He finally relaxed, put an arm around my shoulders, and bent his head close to my ear to murmur in his husky low voice, "You're foxy when you're stubborn. Put your pants back on and save it for the bedroom. I'm not here for your romance bullshit. I'm here for a murder mystery. So shut the fuck up and get to the murder mystery." All it took was the brush of his lips against my earlobe to send flutters of excitement all the way to my toes. "Want to come to my den this evening?" I murmured back. "No, I don't. Shut up. Go away. This is disgusting. If I want to read an erotic book, I'll pick up an erotic book. I don't want your erotic shit in my murder mystery book. I want a murder mystery, not your creepy failing of a relationship. You have a banquet this evening. Double rats." Maybe she's secretly been reading 50 Shades of Grey, 'cause now instead of double crap, we have double rats. In the heat of the moment, I'd forgotten. "Actually, we have a banquet. You're my date, don't forget. And don't roll your eyes. I know you hate to put on a jacket and tie, but Delilah said the food is fantastic. It'll be over by 8 o'clock anyway." "What's wrong with the suit and tie?" "I'm sorry, I don't know anybody who dreads going to a nice formal party that is associated with a convention or something that you're at. None of us dreaded getting our prom dresses. None of the gentlemen dreaded getting their tuxedos. And then we ate tons of food and danced the night away. I don't know how much that would change for people as they aged, but I'm pretty sure getting dressed up nice and fancy and looking pretty, going out somewhere and eating a shit ton of food really hasn't changed on the agenda of awesome." "Have you ever known a banquet to be over in an hour?" "Well, no, but I don't see why it would only be an hour unless all the funeral directors are old men and women and they need their naps." "No, but honestly, Marco, take a look at the people around us. What do you see? Morticians. Is there any group deadly duller—" "What? Is there any group deadly duller than a bunch of morticians? You haven't been around morticians, have you? Just because they act very polite and somber while on the job doesn't mean they don't have, I don't know, rock and roll music playing while they're embalming somebody and getting someone ready to, be put on display for their family to say their final goodbyes to that person. I hate you. I hate you so much. Deadly duller? Were you trying to make a pun? If she was, that doesn't make any sense. In fact, that doesn't even go together, like ever. I was trying to say that I can't imagine there being any fun and games with this crowd. Think about it. They work with dead people. On the whole, they're a serious bunch. What did I just say? Except for thing 1 and thing 2. They are aberrations. What did I just say about putting away your $5 words? Speak normally. You can do that. It's okay. I will still know what you're talking about. Marco turned me around to see a man wearing a big sandwich board that read, "Casket Races, Sunday, 2 p.m., East Parking Lot." Beneath the print was a picture of a long pine box on wheels with racing stripes down the sides. A mortician's soapbox derby? The man turned to display the back of his board. "Post-banquet vampire VIP party tonight. Dracula dress required. Bloody Marys at midnight." "What were you saying about a serious bunch?" Marco drawled. "Now see, that's more like it. I don't care how serious your profession is. Behind the scenes, the people running the show are just as stupid and goofy as everybody else on the face of the planet. And I don't know about you, but I want to go hang out with the people who are doing the Vampire VIP thing and the soapbox derby with the caskets, because that sounds awesome. Also, if you are a real mortician, are these things that conventions do because I might not really be interested in all this stuff like you guys are as your profession, but I would love to see a bunch of morticians dressed up as Dracula. Also, a casket turned into a race car. That would be cool. What were you saying about a serious bunch? Marco drawled. I take it all back. But you'll still come with me to the banquet, won't you? He scratched behind his ear. There's a hitch. Because there has to be for some reason. I don't want to go to a banquet and eat and party with you. Why are you dating this loser? I groaned. Gina wants me to have dinner with her and Mom tonight to decide on her baby shower plans. Why didn't you tell me a month ago when I accepted Max and Delilah's invitation? She called me this morning. I asked before she did. You can't eat with Max and Delilah. Why not wait until the next night or something? It's not going to be that final to make a decision on the baby shower, anything. I mean, you're at a convention doing something important. I think that can wait. The convention's only going to be, 2-3 days? You'll be back in that time to do so. Also, what's this I asked first and blah 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 bullshit? Also, how far away are you, did you say? Like a 40-foot? I don't know. I forget. Well, anyway, I think she said it was a bit away. So you're gonna drive all the way back there and then drive back. Why did you come? She invited you because you're her boyfriend, and you agreed, but you can't tell your parents that, hey, I'm at a convention why not talk about this later on the phone or something? You don't have to go back and have dinner with your family to discuss baby shower stuff. And besides, why do you specifically have to be there? It's a baby shower. I mean, not to say men can't come and participate in that kind of thing or even help plan one, but I still don't know why he has to have a say in any of this. Or why it's that big of a deal. And Gina can eat with your mom, her husband, and your nephew. There's 3-2 in her favor. That's 3-2 in her favor. It's a tie. Gina's husband is always on business. I don't get it. Your mother has already decided on the menu for the shower. I'm providing the flowers, my mother made the favors, and you donated the use of your bar. There's nothing left to plan. She needs me to run interference. You remember how it is with those two. Interference. Interference about what? For what? And what do you mean by interference? Do you mean you need to be a referee? Because that's not interference. That means you're getting in the way of something. That you're not trying to keep people civil. Fat chance, I've been with the two Salarve women exactly once. When Marco's mom invited me for her lasagna dinner and kept refilling my wine glass until I couldn't remember my own telephone number. Marco had later explained that she'd been testing my alcohol tolerance. Okay, I don't know why you would do that, but sure. The higher the tolerance, the less she'd like me. It had been one of the few examinations I'd passed with flying colors. I was bloto. What is that word? Are you trying to make up fancy words about being 3 sheets to the wind? About being drunk off your ass? About being plastered? What the fuck is bloto? Stop using stupid words and use normal ones. After 2.5 glasses. So it was a standoff, Gina or me. Considering what a close-knit family the Salarves were, and that Marco's younger sister had him on a short leash, I was bound to lose this contest. No. If all of this shit has already been sorted, there's no reason for you or him to go. And it's not even an option of you going, it's him. I'm sorry, if they're telling me this last minute, knowing full well I'm going to a convention to do important shit, the answer is no. I'm going to the convention. I'm at a convention doing important shit. If you wanted to do something like this, you should have done it before or scheduled it to be done after I come back and resettle. she's bitching about this for the entire wrong reasons, but I'm actually going to side with Abby. After all, Marco and I weren't engaged, pre-engaged, or thinking about considering being pre-engaged. What does that fucking matter? We've known each other for 5 months. Okay, and dated for 4. Sure. And we're nowhere near being ready for the picket fence diaper routine. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? There is nothing that says you have to get engaged. There is nothing that says that somehow you are less important because you are not his fiancé at this moment in time. You're just a girlfriend. There's nothing wrong with being just a girlfriend. That doesn't make you less than somebody's fiancé. And just because you get engaged, just because you even think about getting engaged, that doesn't mean you have to immediately start thinking about kids. People get married and never want to see a child in their household a day in their life. People who never are fortunate enough to find somebody that they're happy with to marry, to have kids with, never have kids because shit is unfortunate and sad, and that's how shit works sometimes. Your logic here is faulty and makes no sense, and if you're somehow saying it makes perfect sense, I'm gonna conk you on the head with a hammer, and maybe that will fix you. So what chance did I have against his sister? Because maybe he's fucking his sister. I don't know. Unless, okay, I understand, family comes first. Even though you're his girlfriend, and you should be just as important and considered as much as his family. He studied me apprehensively. You're fine with me not going tonight? Hey, no, it's no big deal. So you're not angry? This is so fucking stereotypical. This isn't how relationships go. If your boyfriend is more concerned with his family than what he's already agreed to do months in advance with you, there is something wrong here. Now, I'm not saying that, I don't know, if something had suddenly come up with the sister, like she got sick and went to the hospital and they don't know what's wrong, I can understand him going, I can't go to the fucking banquet, I gotta go home and see what's wrong with my sister. I would be like, okay, that's totally cool, I fully understand, give me a call tonight, let me know what's up and if you can make it back. If not, just let me know. I can do all this shit on my own, it's fine. That's a much better reason to be rushing home than a baby shower that's already planned. And that isn't taking place right this minute. No, but if you keep asking me if I'm angry, that will make me angry. Forget about it, okay? I don't mind if you miss the banquet. Have a great time with your family. I would be kind of upset. Not necessarily with him, but with the fact that he expects he has to blow me off and go hang out with his family. When, again, we had made this known, like, months, weeks in advance, at least a month. This can wait. His family can wait until our 2 to 3 day business convention is over. There's no reason for him to go home. Unless he doesn't like you and wants to leave, which, honestly, you would be better off without him because he's an idiot and so are you. Alright, sunshine, what's going on? Marco, what you don't understand about the phrase, I don't mind. He let out an exasperated sigh. Also, please don't trick your boyfriends into doing something that they're clearly... that's not an honest relationship. He let out an exasperated sigh. Fine. I'll go to the banquet. What time should I pick you up? 6 o'clock. It was an old strategy, but it had always worked with my father. Why? Also, if you get out at 8, what's to stop you from going home and having a late-night dinner with your family? I don't understand. Why can't you do this shit on the phone? I saw a Starbucks at the food court. Let's get some coffee. He checked his watch. I really need to get back to Down the Hatch. Down the Hatch. Is that the name of your bar? That is a shit name for a bar. a shit and not very clever name for a bar. It's early yet. Besides, we've got one more load of flowers coming, and we need a pack mule. So wait. Okay, so this convention I assumed was at least a city away. But apparently if they can get to their businesses and shit, then it's not that far away. They're in the same city. Then if they're in the same exact city, there is nothing to stop him from going to the banquet with her, and then immediately after the banquet, which apparently is just an hour, leave and go to see his sister. What the fuck? My attention was drawn to a glass blower creating beautiful vases at a nearby booth. Are you outside? How could he do that unless he had like a full blacksmithing station outside? The sign above the booth read, "From Ashes to Art, the Ultimate Burial Experience." Is she using... Oh, it's a girl. That's cool. Is she using what I think she's using to make those vases? I asked Marco as he escorted me around a group of curious people who had gathered to watch her shape the glass. Okay, so we're done with that point of conversation. We're just immediately going to go talk about other shit. I need to get out of here, he muttered. This convention gives me the creeps. How was watching somebody mold glass into a usable object creepy? If it bothered you, why did you agree to go in the first place? Why are you dating this loser? It's just a business, Marco. He pointed out two mannequins on display, a male in a gray pinstripe suit and a female in a navy blue dress. On a folding screen behind them were enlarged photos of the outfits in different colors. See, that's what I mean. Who would buy their clothes here? Because it's easy and convenient and you wouldn't have to order from a catalog or go to some, I don't know, tailor or something? Why not? That's burial clothing. Oh, okay. Funeral homes sometimes offer a selection in case the deceased has nothing appropriate to wear. Nothing appropriate? So did the person walk around in a bath towel? Are you seriously going to make a stupid argument over something incredibly dumb? Of course, nobody walks around in a bath towel. But not everybody has suits. Not everybody has something they would consider nice enough to be buried in. For example, I really wouldn't have anything nice enough to be buried in if for some reason I suddenly killed over and died, and my family had to pick something out of my closet that fit me and made me look nice when I'm laying in my casket. And family members also knowing my final wishes would know I don't really have anything in the appropriate color of my choice for my funeral, and would either have to buy something for me, or just be like, sorry Caleb, you're shit out of luck. I hope you don't care. Which I wouldn't, because, as I said, I want everything to be white. The more white, the better, but I will live if I don't have everything in white. We are poor as shit. I don't expect much. This Marco is fucking stupid. Who says something like this? Who doesn't even think before they start saying stuff? Some people don't want to be buried in a t-shirt and jeans. Some people would like a nice suit. Some people would like to be wearing a nice dress that they don't actually have when they're buried. It's the last time your family is ever going to see you. You want to look nice for them. You want to look your best, even though you are fucking dead, to give them some peace and a final farewell. You are so stupid. And then there's the angel music. Is that really necessary? Yes! What if somebody likes that? What's wrong with that? I want to hurt this person. He seriously makes me want to weep for the world. How insensitive and stupid is this guy? Angel music? I paused to listen. Oh, that's harp music. Remember the girl sitting up the harp at the booth across from ours? That's that new agey type place. People like harps. There was a piano at Mom's, though we didn't, actually know how to play it, but, they had it there in case you want music. You want to bring people in, like we did for Dad, so that music could be played there. We played Dad's favorite songs on a guitar. Are you fucking stupid? Do you not know shit that goes on at a funeral? The chalk-faced chick with black lace, in a black lace nightgown. It was a black dress. But yes, that's the one. Why would you think it's a nightgown? Why would she be wearing a nightgown in the middle of the day? I think her business is called Music of the Soul. She gave me the creeps, too. Why? Was she staring at you with unblinking eyes? Did she come up behind you like a chicken in that one Dr. Tran thing and whisper in your ear as a joke? And then did you scream like a little girl while you pissed your pants running around a campfire? And what the hell is this booth about? A souvenir shop? You've got to be kidding me. Well, I've never known there to be a souvenir shop at a funeral home, but yes, actually, certain caskets will come with detachable parts, such as my father's, that you can put things on the corners of the casket, such as eagles with flags, which we got a mount for so I could put a picture with it to remember my father who served. Fuck this asshole. The more I read him saying shit, the more pissed off I get. We stopped to inspect a glass jewelry case where her-shaped tie clasp, coffin cufflinks, and tombstone paperweights were on display. Okay, that was creepy. No, it's not. Morticians are just like anybody else. And that's also not for, public display. That's probably for something to humor them while they're working in the back. Oh my god, you guys are so fucking stupid. When Mom was alive, we went to a restaurant that she really liked, and we were eating. And I'd noticed this woman, and she had a strange purse, but I thought it was neat. But then again, I can, in some bits of humor, be kind of morbid. And this woman got up with her family, and she was, they were leaving the restaurant. And Mom happened to notice her and her purse. Mom, of all people, stops her and says, "Oh, can I see your purse? It's so cute." And you know what her purse was? It was a coffin. It was in the shape of a coffin. This lady was a goth chick, and she had the purse shaped it looks like a coffin. And both Mom and I are giggling over this because we're like, that's cool. Mom would never buy something like that for herself and walk around with it, but of all people, if Mom thinks it's cool, there is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing creepy. I understand some people are very off-put by things like death, graveyards, tombstones, but not everybody is. I saw a rack filled with t-shirts and picked one up, laughing. It read, "Got formaldehyde?" Look, Marco, like the advertisement. Got milk? Are you slow? Are you fucking slow? He didn't seem to find it as amusing as I did, so I tried another one. Okay, this one will definitely make you laugh. I showed him a shirt that read, "Your hearse or mine." Okay, I kind of liked that. But Marco had found something more to his liking, a whoopee cushion. Yes, people would. They would do this. They would, yeah, they would. They'd put it in the casket, or they'd put it on. Again, it's called. You gotta laugh when something bad happens. You've got to somehow find something happy to lift your spirits when you're at your lowest, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. There are just, people have all kinds of humor senses. Some not so great, some better than most. And yes, putting a whoopee cushion in a casket to make it sound like the dead person farted. Anyway, This would ratchet up a funeral service a few notches. It would ratchet up. It would ratchet up. I don't think that expression is used that way, but what do I fucking know? I took it out of his hands and put it back. Some things were just not funny. A whoopee cushion isn't funny? How's that not funny? If you're in the middle of a Sunday school service and you use a whoopee cushion to make it sound like somebody farted, I could kind of understand that's not funny. I might laugh if it's done at a funeral. There's nothing wrong with smiling and telling jokes at a funeral. I took it out of his hands and put it back. Oh, wait, I read that. Now that's more my style, Marco said happily, and veered toward another booth where a big screen TV was playing a video that had lots of loud engines revving. Why? Oh, I guess they're advertising, like maybe engines for hearses. Then he realized the video was about hearses and limousines, not jeeps and motorcycles. Well, that took me a minute to think about, too, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're at like a funeral convention, so. And he veered back, scowling. How long until that load of flowers gets here? I was about to answer when I spotted something that alarmed me. Marco, isn't my booth at the end of this aisle? Why? Why would you ask why? Why don't you just say, yeah? Because something's happening down there, and it doesn't look good. Finally, we get into something fucking important. Why does it take us to chapter 3? Why did we have to fucking meander around with stupid shit? And stupid people? Dear God! Chapter 3. A crowd isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? I said, dodging pokey walkers. What the fuck's a pokey? Do you mean like people who are slow, or just like they walk a little bit, stop and look at a display, then they walk a little more before stopping at another display? What the fuck does that mean? I mean, it could be that my floral arrangements are a big draw, couldn't it? Then I heard a loud, harsh female voice say, "We have rules at this convention, Miss Dove. You were given a copy of those rules before you set up your booth. Now you'll have to dismantle your display at once, and move everything in by a foot on each side." Dismantle it? After we spent 2 hours setting it up? Okay, that was bad. Why would you have to dismantle if you need to put everything in by a foot on each side? Then just shove everything on a foot of each side, or take off 2 feet from somewhere. I hardly see how big of a problem this is. And also, are other people complaining that she's taking up space? Nobody cared at any conventions I've ever been to where I had a table about people encroaching on space. We just kind of like, hey, my display's a little big. Do you care if it overlaps your table a touch here, like here at the end where the tables are touching? No, just kind of try to keep it more on your side, and I'll try to keep my things on my side. And everybody's like, okay. We wove through a dozen onlookers to find the source of the grating voice. A startlingly attractive 40-something woman in a tight zebra print sleeveless wrap dress. The woman was obviously a fitness buff, as was evidenced by her well-toned arms, firm bust. Because somehow your boobs, get exercise. You can tone your boobs. Okay? With a major display of cleavage. I don't think I'm not even gonna try because this person isn't trying, so. Tiny waist, long shapely legs, and curvaceous rear end. Because she couldn't have this naturally, and how do you know she exercises a lot? Do you see, like, muscle on her? Whatever. Which every male seemed to be checking out. Why? I don't look at anybody's ass, regardless of how into them I am or not. To her outfit she had added a blood-red rose tucked above one ear into her long sweep of platinum hair. She held a clipboard in one hand and a red marker in the other, and was fixing Delilah with a glare that would make ice shiver. It wasn't facing Delilah, however, who calmly regarded her from beneath the wide, translucent brim of her pale pink hat. "Sybil," she said, with her easy southern drawl. Of course she has to be southern. "We've been coming here long enough to know how to set up a booth. We are well within the limits. Max Dove push through the crowd to step up beside his wife, but anyone who knew Delilah knew his support was unnecessary. She might have been a gentle lady with a soft voice, big hairdo, because she has to have a big hairdo being a Southern woman, right? And impeccable manners, because all Southern women have amazing manners, didn't you know? But beneath that deceptively innocent heart-shaped face, Delilah was the proverbial steel magnolia. What proverbial steel magnolia? That's a thing? Not only was she strong-willed, but she was also physically strong. You just got done saying she was tiny, a quality that enabled her to do the heavy lifting often required in her line of work, because she wouldn't have people she hired to lift that shit for her. Not to say she couldn't, her and her husband couldn't do it, but caskets get heavy, and the heavier a person is, the heavier the casket. Yet Delilah was able to hold her own without flexing a muscle, uttering a single swear word, or even raising her voice. It was all in her attitude. If you have doubts, Sybil, Delilah continued, reaching into a box of supplies hidden beneath her table skirt, perhaps you'd be kind enough to see yourself. She smiled angelically as she offered Sybil a tape measure. The sudden strum of a harp string across the aisle made the crowd chuckle. The young woman I noticed earlier was seated at a tall golden harp, running her delicate fingertips up and down the strings, the white sleeves of her long flowing black dress falling back to reveal thin, pale arms. Her eyes were closed, and her pale face gazed upward as though she were somewhere far away. I doubted she even knew what was happening in front of our booth. Because she's not paying attention, and you know what, whatever, I'll just go with it and say, yeah, you're totally right. She's not paying attention, didn't do that on purpose. Sybil maintained her frosty glare for another 10 seconds, then swung around to cut a swath through the onlookers, calling over her shoulder, I'll be back to measure later, Miss Dove. We'll be here, Delilah sang out. Sybil marched past, giving me a glimpse of what could have been a model's face, except it was coated with makeup that gave her skin an otherworldly, almost plastic appearance. Her full lips, painted with an iridescent rose red. Why can't anybody just say red rose? How hard is that? Her full lips, painted with an iridescent rose-red lipstick, were now twisted in annoyance, and her big amber eyes glared from inside a shimmery smoky circle of eyeshadow. Her long platinum mane slapped her back like a treacherous wave beating against the shoreline, telling the world that Sybil Blunt was not a woman to be messed with. Then she saw Marco and stopped in the mid-stride, her march becoming a hip-swinging sachet, her hostile expression dissolving into a flirtatious smile. Because she has to hit on your boyfriend, because she's supposed to be that much of an asshole, the cat agrees. Her hostile expression dissolving into a flirtatious smile. Well, hello. I haven't seen you around before. She reached for his hand, which he reluctantly let her shake. I'm Sybil Blunt, chairperson of the convention. Marco Salve, he said, watching her with slightly narrowed eyes. Marco, is it? She said in a sultry voice, behaving as if they were the only two in the room. What mortuary are you with? With Marco. I own a bar. A bar? Well, aren't you a hottie? Who talks like this in their 40s? Who talks like this? Who even normally talks like this? Nobody! Sybil had his hand, and now her gaze was stripping away his clothes. What's the name of your bar, Marco? Because she's got to be this slimy old nasty lady, now doesn't she? She just can't be a strict person, no. Down the hatch he politely withdrew his hand, but didn't step back. Even though she was edging closer, hadn't he figured out yet that she was hitting on him? Hadn't he figured out yet that she was hitting on him? Because of this book? No. Remember, guys, in books like these, the man is always dumb as fuck, and is controlled by women. Always. That's just what happens in these kinds of books. You are dumb and oblivious as fuck without your woman. Just like your woman is dumb as fuck and oblivious without you. Don't ask me what is attractive about that, I have no clue. Wasn't he aware of the people around us, straining to hear their conversation? Sybil leaned into him, murmuring, "Maybe you can drop down my hatch." Oh, god damn. Really? One of these days, Marco, what do you think of that? Okay, that did it. I would have stepped in a lot sooner than that. "Hi, I'm Abby Knight from New Chapel," I said, inserting myself between them, although I had to step on Marco's foot to get him to move back. I grabbed her hand, shook it like a dusty throw rug at the back door, raising a cloud of the sharp, tart scent she wore. It's called perfume. I own Bloomer's flower shop. Marco came with me to help me set up my flower display. I pointed from him to me, so she'd be absolutely clear about our connection. How nice for you. Her unmerciful gaze swept over my face. Stop by my booth after lunch. I'll help you hide those horrid freckles. Because you have to make Sybil an asshole. For not to say that there aren't women out there who would do this to others, but why make her the stereotypical asshole that's just gonna flirt with somebody she ain't got no business to be flirting with? She turned to Marco and with a wink said in a husky whisper, "See you later, cutie." Because people don't talk like this. I don't think so, Sybil, I muttered as she turned to talk to someone else. Behave, Marco growled. Me? I'm not the one who just let Sybil paw me. She shook his hand, and he politely answered her questions despite her rudeness. She didn't touch any other part of him. I didn't see her getting fresh with his dick, did you? No, so you can shut the fuck up. And she's old enough to be your mother, by the way. How? You guys should be the same age as her. Also, why is her hair white? Why is her hair white if she's 40? Her hair isn't going to be white until she's more like, I don't know, 60s and 70s. I mean, maybe people, well, they did say it was a wig, but, like, still, your hair doesn't change colors just like that. Plus, you're supposed to be he's supposed to be a cop. Did he only stay a police officer for a year or two before he quit? Why would you do that? You do all that time taking criminal justice, probably apprenticeships, internships, taking all these years to learn the law and to be a police officer, and then you just say, fuck it, I'm gonna run a bar now? Why would you do that? And she's old enough to be your mother, by the way. No way. Delilah, you said she was in her 40s, so assuming you guys are 20-ish somethings, most likely. Delilah took us by the arms and ushered us back to the booth. Don't let Sybil get under your skin, Abby. She's just a big old clucking hen who likes to strut around, reminding everyone that she's the chairperson. And she's 40, by the way. See, Marco said to me, 40 is old enough to be somebody's mother, unless you guys are like 30 or so. Darling, gloating is ungentlemanly. I've never heard anybody say that about gloating. And we don't really say ungentlemanly, like ever. Delilah chided. And just so you know, Sybil was pawing you. No, she wasn't. She shook his hand, and she did nothing else except hit on him. I didn't see her grabbing his ass. I didn't see her grabbing his front. I didn't see her touch him anywhere else except for shaking his hand and holding it. That's it. See all those males watching her strut up the aisle? Purely half of them have felt her pawing, and the other half are wanting their turns. Delilah gave a gleeful laugh. Listen to Delilah, Max said. She knows Sybil's ways. At every convention we've ever been to, Sybil has always tried to get a rise out of Dell. He cupped a hand around his mouth, pretending his wife couldn't hear. That's because Sybil is jealous of Dell's natural beauty. Nothing artificial about her looks. I'm sure she is. Delilah brushed Delilah blushed prettily. Darlin', darlin' man, she is not jealous of me, she's jealous of my hats. She patted the one on her head. Delilah adored hats and had a closet dedicated to them. She never suffered from hat head because her blonde hair was back-combed, then sprayed to a helmet-like stiffness with her favorite hairspray. Because she's Southern, that's what she does, don't you know? Which she carried in her purse at all times, along with her powder compact and a tube of pink lipstick. Her clothing style was classic, mostly pastels, and her ever-present pearls were always the genuine article. Because she's Southern, don't you know? She was a true Southern lady, because she's Southern, don't you know? I can't just say she's Southern and give her an accent. I gotta make sure that she's stereotypically Southern in every way. Hearing laughter, I turned to see Sybil halfway down the aisle slapping the chest of a young male sales rep as if he just told the funniest story she'd ever heard. He put his arm around her waist and whispered something in her ear, and when she turned to whisper something back that had him nodding excitedly, I noticed a piece of paper stuck to the seat of her skirt that read, "Stand back, I bite." Wouldn't somebody notice that? Wouldn't she notice somebody touching her ass and putting a piece of paper there? Everyone around us saw it too, which caused a lot of snorts and titters. Titters? Titters. I didn't realize tits would suddenly explode from women's shirts and point directly at her. As people drifted off, leaving me with a perfect view of Ross and Jess giving each other high fives. The sign writers, obviously. Well, no shit. I would have found the joke funny if they hadn't already gotten me. Maybe it was time to settle that matter. So, we don't need to worry about the booth being the wrong size? I asked the doves. We measured everything carefully, Delilah assured me. Besides, Sybil will be on to something else in a minute anyway, won't she, Max? Or on to someone else, I said, giving Marco a pointed glance. He responded by rolling his eyes. Yes, because, I've talked about this before, this book is stupid. As if on cue, we heard a furious screech. There she goes, Delilah said. She must have discovered that sign on her derriere. At the end of the aisle, Ross and Jess were laughing so hard they had to hold each other up. Would you excuse me for a few minutes? I asked my friends. I have to take care of something. Abby, Marco called. Where are you going? He figured it out. Hey guys, I said, striding right up to them. I need to talk to you. I would have expected them to appear at least slightly embarrassed when they saw me, but not those two. They had the nerve to look quite pleased with themselves. Thing one, dressed in designer loafers, khakis, and a green golf shirt. You already described them. Why did I need another description of them? Stepped forward. His blonde-tipped hair was styled so that one lock curled perfectly above his right eye, unlike Thing two, whose hair had a bedhead look. He wore brand new Nikes and ripped at the knees blue jeans, with a white t-shirt that said "Drop Dead." Real professional. It's called a joke, stupid. What's up, Red? Thing one asked. Go by their actual names, dipshit. Don't give them nicknames. You refer to them by their nicknames sometimes, not when you're actually describing who's talking. Which one is which? Flashing his pretty boy smile. I'm not a crayon, okay? It's Abby. Remind me again. Which one are you? Dumb or dumber? It's Jess, and that's your problem. Oh, and what's your problem? Hey, I'm Jess, Thing two said, giving his brother a not-so-playful punch in the arm. Jess the mess. He'd be easy to remember. Okay, Jess is the skateboarder. Hey man, lay off me, Ross said, knocking his hand away. You lay off. I let out a bored sigh as the brothers argued and shoved. This was why I never dated younger men. How young are they supposed to be? You said they were 23. How old are you if that one woman is old enough to be your mother at the age of 40? You also have to be in your 20s. Unless your mother gave birth to you when she was 5. Go below the age of 24 and you're asking for a babysitting gig. You are full of shit. There are very good, kind, emotionally and mentally mature men who are perfectly capable of being dated and don't have to be babysitted by you, the big bad woman who's gotta take care of your man because he's too fucking stupid to do it himself. 'Cause men are just losers and childish and we gotta be their mothers when we're supposed to be their lovers instead. Choke on a rock. Hello? I just wanted to thank you for locking me in the phone booth this morning. It was a great way to start the day. Because now it's afternoon, not this morning. It was a joke, Ross said with a shrug of one shoulder. Lighten up. Jokes have punchlines, I reminded him. Here's one for you. What do you call two individuals who confine another individual to a phone booth coffin? I give, Jess said dryly. Felons. Which is what you'll be if you ever pull a stunt like that on me again, because I will press charges so fast your skulls will spin. Got it. Ross patted his mouth as though yawning. I'm sorry, what was that again? Jess took a more serious stance. Cool down, little dudette. Yes, dudette. Are we in the 90s? Does this take place in the 90s? Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I'm pretty sure this came out in the 2000s. Like 2008. Let me have a look. If I can find it. 2007. People don't say dudette anymore. Unless you're 90s kid. And there's a specific reason why it's 90s kid. We thought you were, looking for some fun. Yes, because getting locked, trapped in there, being claustrophobic, and almost having a panic attack is fun. And then being made fun of by the dispatcher. We're looking for some fun, not like the old farts around here. The old farts, as you call them, deal with death and loss, I said. That tends to diminish the fun aspect. Give me a break, Ross said. These booths, this convention, it's all about commerce. So there's no reason why these dudes have to take things so seriously. I mean, okay, so you're a mortician. Get over yourself. Everyone gets bagged eventually. Have some fun with it. Bagged, toe tagged, gone sour, whatever. Because people say shit like that. I mean, granted, I don't hang out with morticians or anything, but I'm pretty sure they don't have slang like this. But again, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the author doesn't either. Jess flicked his tongue at me, which had a silver stud embedded in the tip. It explained the clicking noise when he talked. Charming, which you only are mentioning now. Plus, I've talked to people with tongue rings. I've never noticed them having a difficult time talking unless it's new. Then they have to get used to it. That's not an attitude you see much in funeral directors, I said. How do your clients feel about that, considering their state of grief? We don't deal with clients, we're management, Ross nudged his brother. Hey, look, Jess, here comes the diva of death again. Is our sign still there? I glanced around and saw Sybil with her clipboard. It's gone, Jess replied with a snicker, clicking his tongue stud. You should have seen her, Red. She was strutting around like, oh, look at me, I'm so hot. She didn't have a clue that there was a freaking sign on her ass. They both laughed. Why do you want to embarrass her? I asked them. What has she done to you? Nothing, Jess the mess said. And that's the way we want to keep it. We're too cool to fool. What the fuck? Who talks like this even at the age of 23? Hey, Ross, let's get her again. Dude, what should we do? You're asking me? Come on, Mr. Cool. You're the one with the ideas. If she finds out who's behind these pranks, I wouldn't want to be you, I told them. It won't be a problem, Ross cast a sly glance at his twin. She'd think it was an invitation. An invitation to what? Well, hello, boys, I heard Sybil say from behind me, her voice dripping with sweetness. She practically elbowed me out of the way in her eagerness to get close to them. Have at 'em, Sybil. I turned and headed toward my booth. What was the point in talking to them? I thought you were supposed to be getting back at them. Or are you implying that she overheard you, saying that it was them doing the pranks against her? I turned and headed toward my booth, but just a few yards short of my target, I stopped when a fragile figure in black suddenly appeared in front of me. In her 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 incense enveloping me in a dry, dusty fog of aroma. I pulled back in surprise as the harpist said in a sad, whispering, thin voice, "No one understands her." "Understands who?" "Sybil." The harpist closed her eyes, swaying to some inner tune, as her gossamer dress billowed around her. She had a very large forehead, short dyed black hair parted in the middle, silver glitter eyeshadow, white makeup, and black lipstick. K. Up close, she was also much older than I thought, appearing to be in her mid-30s. Well, yeah, people of all ages like goth stuff. "I've heard Sybil's soul," she said, as if this was a serious matter. "Maybe it is to her. You don't know." "So dissonant, so bellicoso con Foucault. I've never met anyone like her. You can see why she must be recorded." "Sorry? I don't understand Italian." The harpist pinned me with a look that bordered on repulsion. "I'm speaking in musical terms." "Oh, right. Well, I could have guessed, but I'm like, look, if you don't tell me what you're talking about, then I'm not going to have a clue, because not everybody is you, and not everybody is me. So sometimes you have to get off your damn ass in high pedestal and actually explain shit to people. Stop being a dick." I moved around her. I mean, it wasn't like I said I ate worms. Besides, Italian, music, they were pretty much the same to me. 1 year of piano lessons had proved that, besides having short fingers, which naturally went well with my short body. I had no comprehension of music. Before I could escape, she held out a small, slender hand, with black polished fingernails and silver rings stacked on her thumb. And oh God, I know this name, I've never actually had to say it before. Angel Quinique de Sucro. I shook her hand, which was a lot like squeezing a damp rag. I would think maybe hugging a robot, considering her rings, but whatever. Shh. She put another palm on top, making my extremity feel like the meat between two pieces of soggy white bread. Why is she sweating so much? Did she come back from the bathroom and didn't dry her hands? What? She closed her eyes for a few seconds, then looked at me with contempt, as she presently spit out staccato. Before stepping away from me as if I were fungus on a garden plant, she drifted back to her harp, took a seat on her stool, closed her eyes, and began to play. "Okay, then. Yeah, that's like the only natural reaction you've had so far." I saw Marco, Delilah, and Max watching from our booth, looking amused. "That was bizarre," I said, joining them behind the long display table, which Delilah had decorated in my absence. It was now covered with an array of Happy Dreams funeral home brochures, Bloomer's business cards, mints in a shallow glass bowl. Hey, that sounds like what Hushicho does when he has his tables at conventions. With the candy dish, I mean. An album of photos of funeral flowers, wreaths, and blankets, and 3 fresh flower arrangements that I made the day before. We'd hung several of my funeral wreaths from hooks on the portable pastel green walls, one of which was my new square design made with purple anemones, white carnations, dusty pink hellebores, the interesting sawtooth banksia, foliage, wispy wild grass, and green goddess callas, whose graceful stems crossed through the open center of the wreath. We placed more arrangements on the floral stands, along with a vase of mums on the table to give away. "Angelique is a different sort of person," Malia said tactfully. "I met her at last year's convention. She claims to be able to record a soul's melody at the very moment it leaves the body and passes on to the next life. She's trying to get all of us morticians to hand out her brochures to our customers who come in to make prearrangements, so that when they're at death's door, so to speak, she'll be at their bedside with her recorder. That's where the term soul music comes from. Max said, then waited for a laugh. Delilah patted his cheek. Pumpkin, you're simply not cut out for comedy. I don't know why I would think that's funny at all. I'd just be like, oh, okay. She was so right. Max was a very ordinary-looking, mild-mannered guy with kind eyes, a gentle voice, a receding hairline, and the air of assurance that people needed when they were overwhelmed with grief. A comedian he was not. Thank you for reiterating something we didn't need to know about somebody who's not important to the story. Don't feel bad, Max, I said. Apparently I'm staccato. Marco's mouth twitched in amusement. Short and disconnected? Yeah, I can see that. I gave him a glance that said, you are so not funny. Which, we're establishing this. In fact, we already have, and don't need it to be reiterated. Lucky for him, he was hunky enough to get away with it, because you're checking out an older man when you got pissed at an older woman checking out your boyfriend. How do you know what staccato means? I took guitar lessons in high school. So, did you straighten out the urban legends? Urban legends, Delilah said with a laugh. I like that. See, Max? He's funny. Oh, Marco's saying this. Thought it was Max again. See, I'm getting to the point where I don't care anymore, so it's starting to all blur together as I'm trying to hurry through it. Because I'm not enjoying myself. He's funny. As a matter of fact, I did straighten them out, I said, and trust me, they won't pull any more pranks on me. They didn't give two fucking shits. They didn't care. But I can't say the same for Sybil. When I left, they were plotting something. That reminds me. Is it just me, or does her face look plastic? And what's with that rose in her hair? What you witnessed is a walking advertisement for her line of cosmetics, Sybil Select, Delilah said. The red rose is her trademark. Her business hasn't been successful, and I'm sure you can see why. Well, yeah, if she's an asshole, I wouldn't want to buy from her. But that makeup sure doesn't discourage the men from coming around. Because being an asshole wouldn't dissuade men, but usually it doesn't. Dickheads, get girls and guys, and I never understand why. They're not looking at her face, I noted. You lost me, Marco said. Why would Sybil push cosmetics here? Do you not know anything about funerals? Am I the only person who isn't involved in funerals that knows shit about funerals? Because you put fucking makeup on the body, whether it's man or woman. Because of the way death is, and decay, and the color draining from the face. Some families have, like my family, my cousin is a hairdresser. And when Mom died, I asked her, because Mom wanted her to, because she did a good job with my aunt, when my aunt passed away, to come and do her hair and her makeup in her, after she'd passed away. And that's what she did. You guys fucking idiots. It's for those loved ones who pass on, Dumplin'. Nobody says Dumplin'. Delilah explained. It makes their viewing more tolerable for their families. Some people are jaundiced when they leave us. They need purple to normalize their skin tone. Then others are more of a green tone. Too much information, I said, preparing to stick my finger in my ears. It's not like she's talking about the blood that sometimes comes out of people's nose, mouths, and eyes. That happens too. Sometimes they bloat, and you have to kind of poke a hole in their side to get the air to come out. If you want to see the full line of her products, her booth is number 4, Max said, right next to Chet Sunday's Make It Yourself booth. The Chet Sunday? I asked, from television. Marco, you know who he is, the star of Make It Easy, the Saturday afternoon cable TV show, because I needed to say this whole sentence thing, because I couldn't just say, a Saturday afternoon TV show. I have to let you know it's specifically on cable, on the Handyman channel. I work Sunday afternoons, Marco reminded me. No offense, Max, but what is Chet Sunday doing at the Morticians' Convention? I asked. It was Sybil's idea, Max said. She said his name would be a big draw. Apparently he came as a personal favor to her. I can't imagine why, Delilah said with a wink. Chet is even going to tape 2 shows from here, Max finished. That is so cool, I said. We have to see his shows, Marco. Marco looked less than thrilled. Because anything she wants to do, he doesn't. Why are you dating this fucker? Delilah pulled out her convention schedule. Today's show starts at 11 o'clock, so why don't you two use the rest of the morning to see his show and the booths, then take over for us after lunch? So, you were already looking at the booths. Aren't you done looking at the booths? Sounds like a plan. I glanced at Marco, knowing he wanted to get away. Don't worry, you'll be off the hook by noon. Suddenly, we heard a deep voice behind us boom out in fury. Young men, you have just pulled your last prank. I turned around to see Ross and Jess start between two booths, as a tall, dark-suited man with ruddy cheeks, a red-veined, bulbous nose, and a bad comb-over strode after them, shaking his fist. Now those boys have done it, Delilah said. They've got the colonel riled. Oh, thank God, that's the fucking end. Oh, I don't have to read any more of this shit. Don't get this book. This book sucks ass and will just piss you off. It meanders, it talks about shit that's not important, it's sexist, and it's just so annoying. Do not pick up this book. I am throwing this shit away. Fuck this book. I'm Caleb and this has been Red Knot. Thank you for listening to me rant and get pissed off. Bye!